Hello, and we are here live for a special episode of The Music Prophet. So normally we're on Thursdays at noon, but today we are here with Christina Martin.
Hi.
She is doing a show at the Fromagerie tonight at 7, right?
Yeah, is it on the street? I was here
It is.
many years ago, and I turned the corner to find this place, and I was like, this looks familiar. So is it just down yonder?
It is.
Okay.
It is about a 2-minute walk down yonder.
Okay, that's very helpful, because, we have to go and sound check right after this.
You do, and so you'll be ready to go.
This is great. Convenient. Cool. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Well, I'm glad you came because it's a great timing, I think, especially for this time of year. I've noticed that a lot of great Canadian musicians are starting to come through Sudbury.
That's interesting. Yeah. Well, I did have the thought, it's been too long. I think a lot of artists, I shouldn't speak on behalf of them, but I'm just going to tell you what my thought process was. That years ago, like when we were starting out, and we went across Canada, and we would go, play up and play all the way back, and it was so draining and exhausting and expensive. And you wanted to be optimistic and positive about it, but it just was like, could be really soul-sucking. And when you're starting out and you don't know what kind of expectations to have, and you think everything's going to be so easy and grow if you just go and do it, you get discouraged. And you're like, you know what? I don't think I can stomach driving across the country again. Like, and then you just stop and you put your efforts elsewhere. And I guess in the last couple of years, I felt really bad about that, because I think there are, now that I've looked into it, done a little bit more research, and a lot more research, actually. There's a lot of great places to play off the beaten trail, and you can hit the big cities along the way. Big cities can be tough, though, Kyle. Like, sometimes there's just that's where so much is going on. People have so many options, and it's really tough to sell tickets for a lot of artists these days, unless you're like a really heavy hitter, or you had hits on the radio, on rock radio or commercial radio, when things were really good in the music industry years ago. And so I can understand why people don't come.
Is that something that you think about? Like, are you very consciously thinking, I want a balance between doing a big city and 3 small cities and keeping a ratio?
No, I don't think of keeping a ratio. I really want to grow everywhere, but we do really love playing in rural areas, because sometimes that's you're the show that's going on, and people will it's more likely that more people are going to come. If more people would come to the shows in the city, absolutely, then that would be wonderful. You kind of throw a lot of darts at the board, and you tell yourself every show matters. Every show prepares us to be ready for the big stage, the festival stage, whether there's a lot of people there or not. Mm-hmm. And for a lot of shows, it's hard to guarantee that there'll be people. I mean, every now and then you get a good guarantee, a built-in audience or a special event, a festival. But I don't know. For my career, it's like I've got to do more than that. And like being here in Sudbury tonight, last time we were here, we might have sold 2 advance tickets maybe, and there was really not a lot of people, but maybe a few friends came out, and now we have like a dozen advance sales, and Facebook, it looks like maybe 30 people said they might be coming, and we've got more promotion going around. So if we had 20 to 40 people come out tonight, that's growth, and but 5 years ago maybe I would have thought, well, that's not good enough. And now I think it's just a change of attitude. We're grateful for whoever's in the room, and we can build from there, but we do have to come back. Like, we have to kind of make a commitment to come back to Sudbury if we want to build in that market. For me, it's all about organic grassroots marketing and being on the ground, making connections, like meeting people face to face, because there's just so much online now. It's really hard to stand out with a song.
Is that a struggle for you as an artist now? Is that something that you are worried about? for your music?
What specifically?
Either on the side of music listening and music consumption, but also the live part of it. So doing tours, shows when they can hear music already and get that experience.
Am I worried that that won't be an option for me? Is that kind of?
Is that something that plays in the back of your mind when you're doing everything now as a musician?
Well, when I get run down, I think everything can look dark and gloomy. And I think a lot of artists are overworked. I mean, people in general are overworked and underpaid, right? But when you get your spirits down and you're not taking care of yourself and you're overworked, I mean, that's when I can kind of negatively spiral into the, what am I doing? Like, who am I to think that, this is going to grow? But when I feel well and rested and I'm focused and remember my intentions and what I'm working towards, then everything looks brighter, and like I said before, every show counts, even if there's 5 people in the room, which you hope there are more, but like, you play to those 5 people and you make the connections, you do the show. I mean, my show is very much it's like a conversation, and I'm singing about serious stuff sometimes, and I'm sharing lighthearted stories, and it's sort of like a tension release. It's all about authenticity, and I think there's always going to be a place for that. I mean, it'll be obvious if nobody wants to hear me, if there's no place for my music. I think I would have known.
Well, if they're
by
talking
now.
over you when you're playing, that's a sign.
well, it may or may. I don't think it is. I mean, if you're going to play venues, we are strategic about. We don't play venues that are not listening rooms. So if people are talking, that's a sign that they are either not aware that it's a listening room venue and they're not supposed to, or you booked the wrong venue, because there are a lot of places people go to bars to chat with their friends, and if you want to be a background musician, that's fine, but that's not what I am. I'm not good at it. I don't want to do that. If I we play listening rooms only, and we set up the event like that, so music lovers who want to come hear the stories, feel something, I don't know, like just kind of relate on, then that's why they come out to see us. I mean, I think there have been times, I've been worried about whether I personally could have a career and longevity, but I think my desire to stick with it, and change and adapt and find my own way, even financially to pay the bills and keep recording and keep fulfilling my intentions, is stronger than those kind of negative thoughts. Or, I mean, you can do anything, almost anything that you want, with a good plan and support from the people around you. It takes work and you have to be positive, but there's some dark days for sure.
And I think it'd be good. I think it'd be interesting to jump into that.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned longevity.
Yeah.
And has the definition of what longevity in music, has that changed over the years? And once you hit your 4th album, is that now different than what you thought longevity in creating a career would be in your first album?
I think first of all, when I created my first album, I had no aspirations in terms of like future visions. I was just starting to get my first gigs. I opened for a band called Wilco in Austin, Texas, which was it was kind of felt like a fluke. Tiff Merritt was sick. I had just played this bar called the Mercury Club on 6th Street in Austin, and the manager liked me. And when Tiff couldn't do the show, Wilco was doing a surprise show to open the first Austin City Limits Festival. And when Tiff couldn't make it, this manager kind of was like, I know this girl, she just played here, do you think we could have her open? And I mean, I'm really shocked that they even let me. I mean, I had never really done any significant kind of shows of my own. I was in bands and I just was recording my first album, but it wasn't I wasn't ready for
and
that.
It's Wilco.
And it's
which
Wilco.
Is huge.
They were, and at the time, I really wasn't familiar. I wasn't familiar with who they were, to be honest. But I was familiar with the Jayhawks, and they were like crossing paths quite a bit. And some of the guys from Jayhawks were in the audience that night, but I was clueless. And then many years later, moved back to Canada, and I did my second record. And when that got some attention, I started learning about the business, the industry, and people were, interested in becoming my agent. And there was talk of like, okay, you need to look for a label and put a team together. And then my expectations at the time were like, this is going to get really busy and successful really fast, and I was so naive and not ready. And every year for a long time I kept thinking, I need this and this and this, I need a management team, I need a label, I need all these people and things. And I tried different things, and through trial and error you kind of come to, I've always been a self-managed artist, and I run my own label just to release my music, and I'm independent in every sense, except that at the same time, I don't do anything alone. I have partners making music with me, and I hire people to help me with campaigns and marketing. But I think my the expectations are definitely different. I thought my audiences would grow really rapidly at certain points in certain albums, and in some ways it's gotten harder. I've had to do more. I have to do more work on my own. I'm just stating facts, not even complaining, although I've done my fair share of complaining. And it's a lot of work. I thought it would get easier, and some things you get better at, but everything's. It just seems like there's so much to learn always, which I guess keeps it exciting.
I suppose.
You're never bored. But yeah, and you get down sometimes thinking, how am I going to do that? How am I going to do that with the resources I have or don't have? And you spend so much time doing that. I thought I would be doing more music. I'm still releasing quite a bit of content on a fairly regular basis. That was a goal of mine. But I guess there's always that feeling in maybe it's my personality. Like I thought I would be able to create more. I think I could be a better artistically if I didn't have to do so much of the business stuff, but it's hard to hand over your business when you've been kind of you've tried things that haven't worked out, and it's expensive. And
so how does your time break down between business and music creation? Where is that percentage of time balance even?
Well, it does kind of shift. I feel like I have periods of the year where I can dedicate like more to writing, and recording doesn't happen until I have enough material and like, okay, we're ready to try and do a record, and we have our own studio, so that's very convenient. But I'd say my days are broken up into, I have a morning routine, and that involves writing, and sometimes leads to songwriting, and sometimes it doesn't. But I'd say a good 60 to 70% of my time in the day is spent doing planning and booking and following up with emails and administrative work and grant writing and then there's the self-care, meditation and exercise and just trying to be a normal human being. So it's a very small percentage for me, and maybe that's the way it'll always be. I don't know. I can't seem to find time to book a week to just have a writing retreat. Let alone a vacation. Again, these are just facts. I'm not complaining or anything.
And it's funny because I feel like, especially when you get into it, it seems like the bigger that you get, the more that you'll be able to make that time to just take those breaks and start writing and working on music. But then now you're here, and it's still it's even harder to find that.
It's hard to find time. On the road, I'm on tour right now there's 49 tour dates. There's some days off in there, so 2.5 months. And I'm trying to for example, get back to my writing routine. It's really hard. Like every day is different. Some days you just like, can I sleep in? Like I have to watch my voice and find energy, and so you kind of trade hours or 30 minutes blocks for more sleep or to get a meal or a shower, and then you're on the go again. And but the other thing I think I've over the years is I always have a pencil and paper, so if there are ideas, and I have my cell phone so I can hum ideas into my phone, and then when I'm back home in one place for like a month or two, I can kind of sift through things and see if there's anything that's salvageable, and that's kind of how I've worked over the years. You do the best you can. I know in 2016 I actually did sit down, like I made it a priority to write songs for the record Impossible to Hold, and that seems successful. So I know I can do it. I don't get like depressed like, oh, I'll never write again. I know that's not that's
it's
irrational.
not whatsoever.
That's like, I just need to make time for it. And I mean, we just put out a record and we put out 6 we did 6 covers, so I only had to come up with 2 new songs, and we re-recorded 2 of my older songs. And I'm working slowly at the next record, which will be in the next 1 to 2, maybe 3 years. And I'm just not rushing it though. I learned how to sing by imitating other artists growing up, and I think recording these songs was actually really difficult for us, but we learned a lot. So you learn a lot from playing other people's songs. These were great songs, like better than mine, in my opinion. So I had to learn. I got stronger as a singer by learning how to sing some of these songs on this album. And and I just put out a record last year in 2018, and I sure as hell was not ready to embark on, a full length, like 10 to 12 songs, original, fully arranged tunes. And to be, it's just wasn't feeling it. But this we were feeling. We're like, let's do this right now. In the meantime, tour our butts off and build our fan base. Plus, people love songs they're familiar with. They love songs they can relate with. And like that ABBA song, for example, a lot of people have, commented just about, the quality of the song itself and how it reminded them of someone. I mean, in this case, it's a breakup song. It's pretty heartbreaking, but like, I don't know who hasn't been through. Have you never broken
I
up?
think everyone has.
Yeah, and
at least one point by the time to 25, right?
Yeah, and I mean, loss and exit events are like the most intense in our lives, so I think that's why it's such a powerful song. And I think for a long time, maybe my ego was getting in the way of me even doing something like this. So I was like, well, no, I don't want to be perceived as a cover act. But I'm really enjoying singing these songs, and there were more that we wanted to do, but we didn't have time and for this record. And
it's definitely a paying homage thing. There's other artists like Post Malone who will do Green Day covers at a rap concert. So I feel like it's a context of your music, but has that changed where now you're more worried about the final product just being good? You're not worried about what you used to be when you were starting out?
I think I was always interested in the product being good, the audio, the sound, like the songs being good. At the time, you think, this is great, I'm going to release this. Your tastes change, evolve, I should say. Maybe my taste hasn't changed so much, but so there are, works that we've done in the past. If we listen to them now, we might cringe and go, oh my God, what were we thinking? We know more now about certain things, and but I'm interested in definitely my partner, my guitarist and producer Dale Murray is interested in quality audio that makes people feel something. Hopefully, we're not claiming to be the best at what we do. We want to get better at what we do, and I'd like to be a better singer, and I'd like people to. I think for me, music is a way of communicating. So when you want to communicate with someone, you want them to understand and relate. And also the other side of it is, sorting out, trying to understand something, whether you could speak to this. I mean, I think you're a poet, have you thought about your intentions behind why you write poetry? I'm not talking about inspiration. Like, I actually hate that question. What inspires you to? Somebody asked me that today, and I really have to hope. I just find it's a lazy question. It's like,
it's very stock.
Be more
at that point.
specific. Like, what inspired you to write that song about, a woman in Pembroke that had a hard time with her kids or whatever. Like, have you thought about your own intentions behind? I'm changing the direction here. I'm the interviewer now, Kyle.
But it's definitely. I think it's the same thing with poetry.
Yeah.
Like, it changes. It depends on a lot of where you're at too, because there's certain rooms that that you can appeal to a crowd better, and so there's certain pieces that you present that will hit that crowd to get the message out. And there's others that you save for, like, your average open mic, right?
Oh yeah, that's true too. Yeah, you think about you have to think about your audience, and sometimes, well, I guess that's a choice. You don't have to. You could do whatever you want, but it might affect who listens. But do you know why? Like, when you think back to maybe the first time you started journaling or writing poetry, do you kind of have an awareness of, like, why you started? Like, what was it about it that
it was
liked?
And I feel like it's the same for you with music. It was venting initially, until I realized that I'm actually decent at this. But before that, it was songwriting. Growing up in high school, I did a lot of songwriting. Yeah. And once university came, I just didn't have time to actually fully focus on songs. So poetry is that easier avenue.
Oh,
right?
I find poetry harder. I'm so paranoid about, sharing my scribblings.
Well, when I say shorter, I mean that poetry, you can write it in 15 minutes.
Okay.
And the editing process is a part that takes you hours.
Yes. Yeah.
But it's different than a song where you quite literally have to sit down. You have to find the rhythm of the verse, then the chorus, then you have to make sure everything matches, and you have to change up the tiny words.
Okay. It's interesting that you see that as, like, I think poetry is so much more complicated and hard. And songwriting, maybe because I've done it for so long, but all those things you said are true. Like, you have to, in the editing process. But then the other things, I don't even understand music. Like, I'm not very well, like, trained. I had basic music lessons growing up, but I guess that's where there's something that I, got from just, I don't know, just passed on or just lucky.
So it has been a lot of just natural ability that you've just toned? There's
a natural something, a love for music and melodies and whatever, like sometimes I'm like, well, I just know for myself it resonates. I hope that other people like it, but no, you're speaking to someone who's never had a hit, right? So, like, I'm not someone who has a gift for writing hits or anything like that. I think I do have some natural abilities, but I can't say it's not been work. I've worked at being a writer and studied other writers and their process for 20 years, so it would be kind of silly, negligent of me to be like, yeah, it's just all natural. I suppose I've done it just sometimes it feels like I haven't worked enough at it, and doing 15 minutes a day is really, 20 minutes a day, you get better at whatever. If you dedicate 10 minutes a day to gardening, you're going to be
an expert
at some point. Yeah, so you may never become a celebrity gardener. I don't know. But
is that something? I think that's a really good point, though. Like, when you look at your history, you've really delved into the Canadiana type area. But you're right, within that space, it's really tough to have that one hit that everyone sings, and you don't really have that one track.
Right.
That radio just plays for 20 years.
But some people think you do. They tell you, oh, that song, that hit that you had, and I'm like, it was never a hit. What are you talking about? It's oftentimes my mother saying that or something. Yeah, so, but then I had a friend the other day in Toronto that was like, yeah, I was talking to so-and-so at CBC, and they're like, oh, Christina, yeah, love her stuff, but, geez, she's just that one song away from, everything taken. I mean, I've been hearing that for years. Maybe that's true, but maybe it's not. Maybe the song's already there, but I just haven't been able to market it, or, I think maybe that a time frame I wasn't working hard enough in the right places. Like, there's a million reasons why something can work or not work. So I guess as an artist, if you want to just stick around and you're doing this for a certain reason, you just have to be okay with, I'm going to do the work, I'm going to show up and do the best I can and see what happens, and try to be ready when there's an opportunity. But you never know.
Does that really matter to you? Are you like, would you rather have a bunch of albums? Well, yeah, like this. Would you rather have celebrity status and that big hit, or do you prefer where you're at now, where you can release a bunch of albums and have the career you've built?
Oh my gosh, it would be great to have both, because I think if you, so I think the benefit to let's say, for example, a hit happening now as opposed to 10 years ago, I may not have known how to handle it, what to do. I may have not become such a hard worker at it myself. Whereas if it happened now, I perhaps would know, this isn't going to last. Let's make the most of it now. Let's be smart about, I have good people around me, a small but mighty crowd that could help me make, if there were big decisions to make, that we would be more responsible than maybe 10, 20 years ago. Celebrity, or, like a lot of attention, I think it can be great if I've always thought that could allow me to do more of the good things. Like, I love paying my band. I love having gigs where I can hire my band and pay them well. And they're so appreciative because they get to do what they love. You're with your friends. And there's that respect of the exchange of money, and it's not like a pathetic amount. Like, so you could do more of that. You can have more time to work on the craft. You can, there's a lot of good people working out there in the industry. You can hire, build your team. And sometimes celebrity and those things make those things a little bit easier to access. Not always, but for example, there's the whole, about the whole funding music in this country. It's benefited me for sure, but I'm struggling now with competing against artists who have millions of streams, and I don't. And unless you buy them, which a lot of artists do, not all of them, but that is a part of a lot of marketing plans where I'm pretty sure, I've been told that everyone does it. That's hard to compete with when you're no longer eligible for certain tour support because, a large portion of artists are fabricating things. Yeah, not all of them, but it happens.
Yeah, especially with stats, right? It's something that it's common when you hear that an artist says they have 2 million streams.
Yeah.
But that's through like 12 different platforms all put to the same number.
Yeah. Like, and how many of those are real? Like actual, or how many of them, like we had a Christmas single that had over 400,000 streams, but that was majority passive listening. They didn't know who Christina Martin was. They probably wouldn't come to my show if I was in Denmark, which I will be next winter. I'm very curious. Maybe I should just stop making claims until we go to Denmark.
And then find out, yeah.
And then maybe they're going to be just roaring for the Christmas single. Yeah. But I think you can also, like, so you can, if you have a lot of money behind you, you could probably buy celebrity. A lot of celebrities online that don't do anything outside of online. But I would rather be an artist that gets better at what they do. Like, I want to be a better singer and writer and put quality material out, quality videos. I'd like to maintain that, and I will, if nothing big ever happens, we're very happy and healthy, and we're going to keep doing this. But yeah, it'd be nice to have like some breaks. I don't even know what those look like anymore. I don't know.
But it's not as important anymore, is it? You're doing what you love. full time, so I feel like that balances out the lack of a break.
Yep. No, you're right. Yeah. Good point. Yeah. No. Yeah. My husband and I talk about this a lot in the car because we have these long drives, especially in Canada. And when you're tired, and the other day I was like, man, like, can't we just get one break? Like, just one, just this month, like something. And I think it was just because we had, I don't know, something ticked me off or whatever, and yeah, he kind of in that moment agreed with me. He's like, you're right, we just need one break. Like, he's like, but then we came around to talking more. We're like, you know what, we're on the path that we chose. It's going well. We're just tired. You know, it's when you sign up to do 49 shows, there are going to be a handful that are
just horrible to go to.
Yeah, they're not even like, we don't play like, you know, disgusting places. I'm not even opposed to playing a disgusting place if the audience is there and they love music. But you sometimes get, you know, upset by, you know, maybe just a really low turnout, and or miscommunication sometimes happens, and it affects maybe the performance being more successful or the event, you know. Yeah, so, but we are happy, and luckily right now we're healthy, so.
Yeah, and that's a good way to wrap it up.
All right, good.
You're happy and healthy, and
off to the show. Cool. Thanks for having me. Good luck with your poetry and everything. I hope we get to see you on the way back through.
So you can check out Christina at the Fromagerie tonight at 7 p.m.
Yeah, I think it's at 7. I have to check.
Yeah.
Is it 7?
It's at 7.
Hey, thanks. And it's all ages.
It is all ages.
Yeah.
So you should come out and hear her perform. And yeah, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, good luck with everything.
It was fun.
Yeah, we'll do it again, I hope.
Let's do it.
Okay.